me backstage is Bea Priestley and her new...
You know what? I want to introduce my friend, Alex Windsor. And the reason we get along so well is because she hates Nixon Newell just as much as I do.
Oh, Nixon Newell. All I ever hear about is Nixon Newell. But you know what? The only reason why Nixon Newell, you are the new WCPW Women's Champion is because I was not booked for that match. But it's alright, don't worry. Tonight, I'm going to give you just a little taste of why I am the most dominant female in wrestling and why next time we step in the ring with each other, I'm going to be winning that championship. Okay? So what do you reckon? Should we give a little taste tonight?
A little taste, and we're going to kick her teeth down her throat.
Sounds like a plan.
Weighing in at 300 pounds from the Moose Nation, ladies and gentlemen, this is Moose!
Well, Moose has become something of a phenomenon among our WCPW fans since his debut, a victory over Joe Coffey at Stacked. It's not hard to see why. Over 300 pounds, 6'5". This man is not to be messed with.
Well, the crowd at WCPW have been shouting Moose for weeks. In fact, it's been driving me crazy. And now they come to their feet for a man, Dave Bradshaw, that I've got to tell you, I have a great deal of animosity for. Do you know how much money he lost me? He was one of my picks for the Rumble.
Well, to be fair to Moose, it wasn't exactly his fault that he was unable to win the Kurt Angle Invitational Rumble. He was ambushed on his way to the ring by Big Damo and Prospect last week. Well, El Perspectiva, right?
Excuses and success cannot abide in the same man at the same time, and that, Dave, is an excuse. Why was he not in that Rumble? It's for a shot against Kurt Angle.
He got attacked by 3 men. 2 of whom were pretending to be Mexicans.
They were real Mexicans.
And introducing his opponent, weighing in at 255 pounds from Ayr, Scotland, Drew Galloway!
Well, if Moose was your pick last week to win the Rumble, Drew Galloway was mine. But much to the shock of many fans here in WCPW, Galloway was eliminated by Marty Scurll in that match. Before that, Galloway had been doing pretty well here. He beat Doug Williams at Stacked, so he's going to be looking to get back to winning ways here against Moose.
Well, I mean, thanks for bringing up and digging up that painful history, because normally I should be on the side of Drew Galloway against the man that lost me money. But as you painfully pointed out, Drew Galloway stole a victory from Mr. Brexit, Doug Williams.
How did he steal it?
He stole it.
How?
I mean, I can't bring up the instant replay of the match, but if I'm saying it, you know it's true. So,
yeah, you're a very reliable source, aren't you?
But, you know, all that aside, this is going to be a true heavyweight clash, but heavyweights of a different kind, because we have the power heavyweights in the main event. No DQ, pile driver ban lifted, but this is 2 of the tallest men in the history of the WCPW roster going one-on-one, and it's going to be very hard, Dave, to pick a winner.
Both of these men are superstars over in TNA in the United States. It just shows you the caliber of international wrestling stars that are making their way to WCPW, that Galloway and Moose are about to go one-on-one here on Loaded. This is going to be, as you said, Alex, very difficult to pick between them. 2 incredible heavyweights. This could go right down to the wire.
Well, it's going to become a battle of the game breaker. That wrist lock transitions into a discus lariat from Moose, and of course the future shock, that double underhook DDT of Drew Galloway. But you know, they always say a good big un will beat a good little un. But in this contest, there is no little un, so I'm going to have to go with experience. And Drew Galloway has been wrestling since he was a teenager, while Moose began training at the Ring of Honor Academy in 2012. And Dave, I'll tell you why that's even more impressive.
Why is that?
Because I saw a movie that predicted the world was going to end in 2012. So, I mean, to start your wrestling career when there might not be an earth to wrestle on, that takes balls. Not as big as Adam Blumpier's, but still.
Oh, not that again, please. And also, what are you talking about? That's mental.
It's the Mayans. They predicted it. End of the world, 2012. Obviously, they got their calendar wrong, but what do you expect?
Anyway, we are underway. By the way, Moose wasn't just sitting around before 2012. He spent 6 years in the NFL, including 4 years at the Atlanta Falcons, also time at the New England Patriots, the St. Louis Rams, the Indianapolis Colts as well. So Moose, an accomplished professional athlete. I'm sure he's been watching the start of the NFL season this past week with interest, but right now his attention's fully focused on this man from Scotland, Drew Galloway.
Well, Drew Galloway up in Scotland from the age of a young boy, played rugby, and you know what rugby is?
I do.
It's basically American football, but for people that are tougher, that don't have to wear all those pads.
Oh, now you're opening a can of worms. There's going to be some comments on that one. Galloway leaving Moose in the corner, and Moose feeling the support here of many of our fans in attendance in Newcastle. Side headlock by Galloway.
And look at the grip, butcher's hook. That's the tightest grip in the world that a human can give. But it was not enough to keep Moose down. I mean, Moose, what I like about Moose, for a big guy, he has that very, smooth, relaxed style of movement. It's really strange. He's weirdly and scarily agile.
Yeah, very laid-back guy if you talk to him backstage, but when we get down to the business end here inside the squared circle, Moose is as tough as they come. See a test of strength here, and Galloway quickly countering. Maybe that's where some of that experience came into play. He lured Moose into that one.
And a very interesting male grooming fact here. Despite his name, Moose does not use Moose. Just thought I'd put that one out there.
That was not a very interesting grooming fact, but thanks for playing. Moose goes to the ropes, leapfrog by Galloway, and this time the shoulder block is enough to send the former NFL star to the ground.
And Galloway, since Galloway left the WWE, he's been a man on a mission, and many of the wrestlers who have also, just left WWE or are still in the company thinking maybe could I make it on the indies, Galloway has become somewhat of an inspiration, starting professional wrestling as a very young man up in Scotland, and now is a global wrestling phenomenon who has made a big name outside of the WWE. Look at that chop fest.
I wonder if someone like Cody Rhodes, who's coming to WCPW in October, he must look at Galloway as some kind of a role model. Galloway's a guy who left WWE and has made a name for himself very successfully. Rhodes is going to face the man who Galloway beat at Stack, Doug Williams, at Refuse to Lose on October 6th.
And look at the size of that drop kick. I mean, I said it earlier, scary agility, and that was like Kurt Hennig style, picture perfect drop kick, and it looks like the agility is not yet done. Look at this.
Moose sliding under the bottom rope and walks into a chop from Galloway, but Moose giving as good as he gets. Both of these two giant men battling it out at ringside.
And it's not until you stood next to these two that you can really get a sense for how big they are and how big their hands and feet are.
Moose ends up on the shoulders of Galloway. What's this going to be? Ends up almost like an attitude adjustment onto the ring apron.
And that is the hardest bit of a professional wrestling ring other than those steel ring posts, because the corner of that ring is literally just steel and wood, and Moose landed every single vertebra of his body right on the edge of it.
Hang on, Moose has got Galloway up. And speaking of the ring apron, Galloway getting powerbombed on the small of his back into the corner of the apron.
And these two early are holding nothing back. I mean, WCPW has got the fastest growing global audience of any professional wrestling company in the history of Great Britain, and both of these two men want to make an impact. Unfortunately, the impact just happened to be on each of their spines.
See the replay here. This is what happened first to Moose. Moose ending up in considerable pain, but got his own back moments later with that powerbomb onto the apron. So both men with, I would imagine, very sore backs as they roll back into the ring. And
and they just managed to break that count from our referee here. But how much damage was done? I mean, look at the pain on the face of Galloway. Oh.
Galloway still able to get that boot up and make a considerable impact on the jaw of Moose. But look at the strength, my God!
He calls that a go to hell. Sit down powerbomb, delivered with authority, and what's that got to do for the confidence of Moose? Because for a move that he's used to put other people away with, aside from that game breaker, you know, he gave it to Galloway as big as he's given it to anyone, and Galloway kicked out.
The game breaker is still the biggest weapon in Moose's arsenal. It's what he used to beat Joe Coffey. Maybe we're going to see him attempt it here. Here it comes, the game breaker, but Galloway had that scouted into the backslide. And Galloway going for the future shot. Here comes Moose. Both men countering each other's finishing moves.
And straight left hands.
And Moose is winding up on Galloway, who will counter. Maybe a tombstone. We've already seen two of those tonight, and now we see a third. Galloway with the cover.
Dave, he didn't quite get all of that because the weight of Moose arched the legs of Drew Galloway back, and I think, you know, if he'd have landed all of that, it would have been curtains for Moose. But fortunately for Moose, that body weight shifted in mid-air, and Galloway wasn't quite able to execute that move with full force.
Galloway certainly is not used to being the smaller man in any of his wrestling matches. Moose at 310 pounds does weigh more than the Scotsman, and that's got to mean Galloway has to adapt his style. Some of those moves that can put away smaller men just don't get it done.
Oh, he's going for that kryptonite crunch, Dave, and Moose turns it into a sunset flip. Rolls through and is he? No way, he's going to be able. Oh,
huge power from Moose. And Moose, the senton splash.
Oh, you know, it looks like he's calling for that hit stick. It's that rolling spear.
If he nails this, it really could be curtains.
Galloway hasn't seen him.
And he gets it.
Hit stick!
Cover! That's got to do it! Moose beats Galloway! No, he doesn't! Right shoulder up from Drew Galloway!
And this is an epic heavyweight battle. But don't forget, Dave, just around the corner is that huge no DQ showdown between Big Damo and Rampage. And as we've mentioned, the pile driver ban has been lifted. And don't forget, it was that pile driver that put Rampage completely out of action here in WCPW.
Well, Moose has Galloway up. He's going to go for that game breaker a second time. Galloway ducks a second time. And Galloway with a boot to the head of Moose.
And he turned him inside out with that kick. I mean, Moose went flying. And now Galloway, what's he going for here? Up on the shoulders again. Oh, kryptonite crunch. It looks like he's going for centre of the ring and lands it full force.
And Moose lands on the back of his neck. Is this the moment for Galloway? Not quite. Moose gets his shoulder up.
Galloway didn't quite have enough in him to make a full body-on-body cover. And that could have made a difference.
Galloway and Moose putting it all on the line in front of our WCPW fans. And Galloway trying to end it. Kick to the temple of Moose. Moose might be out cold. Moose gets getting the shoulder up on 2.5. Incredible resilience from Moose. Oh, sit out powerbomb. Is that enough? And again Moose is out.
And you can see Moose. I'm keeping an eye as far as I can on Moose. And Moose, even though his body is broken, his eyes are glazed, the lights are on, somebody is still home. And now Galloway must be thinking, what in the hell am I supposed to do to put this big, for want of a better word, Moose away? I mean, this guy, he's unstoppable, he's unbreakable. He's almost as unbreakable and indestructible as Doug Williams, but not quite.
Well, Drew Galloway did beat Doug Williams, didn't steal a win from Doug Williams, which I'm still a little bit annoyed about.
Not the point I was trying to make. Move on.
All right, we'll go with your point. I'm not allowed to say what I want to say, am I? Surprised you're not still rambling on about Martin Kirby winning that fatal 5-way.
Oh, what a great, yeah, that was amazing. Oh, what a great point. Let's just talk about that.
Oh, I shouldn't have brought it up, should I? Galloway asking for Moose to give him his best shot. Moose happy to oblige.
And those gloves that Moose wears when it comes to a closed fist showdown may actually have a disadvantage for the big man. And when I say big man, it's hard to tell which one I mean, because these guys are huge. It's like Land of the Giants.
That just caveman type roar from Moose as these two now battering each other. As we predicted, Nothing to pick between the two of them. Galloway with the boot. Moose doesn't go down, but he's wobbling. And now Moose replying in kind.
Oh, game breaker.
No. Galloway has countered that 3 times now.
Wow. Look at that German. Oh, but Moose up on his feet and he hits it.
Oh, gets it on the 4th time of asking. Moose with the game breaker, but does he have enough energy to make the cover?
And earlier on, Dave, we were saying, what's it going to take to end Moose? But actually, the strategy of Galloway with those huge high-impact moves has paid off, because when the game breaker was hit, Moose didn't have enough in the tank to roll over and make the cover, and it's just saved the match for Drew Galloway.
Saying that, though, Galloway has barely moved. So even if he's temporarily still in the game, you've got to think one more game breaker would be enough, and I think Moose knows that. He's going to try it again. Moose goes for a second time. He doesn't get it. And Galloway's trying for the pin. Moose, look at the power. My God.
Oh, future shock.
Good God, future shock from Galloway. Where did that come from?
Oh, Galloway wins. My God.
Galloway slays the giant Moose.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the match, Drew Galloway!
Galloway, after a win against Doug Williams, follows it up with a win against Moose. Is there anything Drew Galloway cannot do here in What Culture Pro Wrestling?
Well, when Drew Galloway was a kid, he heard stories of Jack the Giant Killer, but I tell you what, the kids of today are going to grow up with a story of Drew the Moose Killer. I mean, that was an impressive victory, and Drew Galloway now has to be looking at that WCPW title.
Drew Galloway with an incredible win in our first of 2 enormous heavyweight clashes this week on Loaded. We've been mentioning it all night, but the rivalry between Rampage and Big Damo will come to a head in our main event in a no-holds-barred war. Right now, though, a show of sportsmanship that I doubt we will see in that main event, as Galloway and Moose showing respect for each other.
And I'll tell you where else we're not going to see respect, Dave, in our next match, because the women of WCPW return, and after that last woman standing match, what more to up the stakes than a tag team match? And you know what, Dave? B. Priestley is bringing a friend. I mean, that's a line that I've been waiting to hear since we began on commentary, and something tells me a vicious beatdown of Nixon Newell is approaching.
The first ever women's tag team match in WCPW history is next on Loaded.
I'm so sorry, I know you're in a rush, but we just wanted to catch you before you left. Is it okay to get
No problem. How can I help?
Thank you so much. Well, I for one just want to say it's been amazing having you in What Culture Pro Wrestling. It's totally blown apart the scene. I loved it. But like I said, we know you have commitments elsewhere. You're jetting off just now. Tell us, is this going to just be a fleeting visit to us, or are you going to be back?
Well, everybody knows I am the protege of Kazuchika Okada, who is the owner of the Chaos faction over in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I've got to live my dream. I've got to go over to Japan. So with that in mind, if you guys would have me, I would love to be a full-time member of the roster every time I'm here. It would be an absolute honour, because there's one little niggle I have over here, and mine Kirby just keeps slipping through my hands, and I can't seem to grab hold of him. And I make it a mission as the aerial assassin to make sure that I have a target and I shoot it clean out of the sky. So how about I put it to you like this? I'm coming back in November, and if you're not doing anything, if WCPW ain't doing anything, and if Martin Kirby isn't doing anything, I want my rematch. Pip pip. Cheerio.
Safe travels.
Thank you.
Remember when What Culture did a magazine called Wrestling? We're doing another one called Wrestling. Issue 2 will feature a career retrospective on Brock Lesnar and an interview with Paul Heyman. It'll feature another How WWE Should Have book written by this sexual modern stallion. There'll be all the usual top quality articles and artwork, as well as a top 50 list of the greatest SummerSlam moments of all time. Like last time, you can pre-order and buy your own copy in the link below at shop.whatculture.com. Order now to enjoy issue 2 of Wrestling.